Seth Godin, one of the greatest communicators alive. I love listening to interviews with him. Every time I listen, I feel like I learn something new. And I was always interested, how is he able to do that? How is he able to sound like such an interesting person? Well, it's not just because he's delivering simple ideas. They're actually quite complex very often, but he gives them a very simple container. I call this the container principle, and it's made up of two parts. The first is tiny, repeatable phrases.
This work I'm doing, who's it for and what's it for? Who's it for? What's it for? So let's get very clear. Who's it for and what's it for?
So everything he does, he finds a little pithy phrase for, which is simple enough to remember. They're usually like one-syllable words, but they're big enough that they can contain this complex idea. The second thing he does is he condenses everything to a small metaphor or image that you can easily imagine.
There's a hairdresser near my home that only works on women who have curly hair. All she does. Perfect. If you're bald, don't come. If you're a guy, don't come. If you don't have curly hair, don't come. If you have curly hair, but you want a cheap haircut, don't come. I can only cut 10 people's hair a day. That's enough. Who's it for? It's for people who want to look the way I want to help them look. What's it for? To give them an experience that will make them decide it was worth more than it cost. That's it.
So look what he does talking about marketing. He doesn't go into brand awareness or audience segmentation. He talks about a hairdresser who cuts the hair of people with curly hair, how they would approach running their business, and then repeats the phrase, who's it for, what's it for? And because this is such a big philosophy, he and Mel Robbins can then riff on the whole idea and think about the different angles that it works for the next 10, 15 minutes. The idea is nuanced and big. The container is small enough to understand and remember. And he does this over and over and over again. People like us do things like this, showing up to make things better, the smallest viable audience. And that kind of comes to the reason, I think, why he's so influential. He's realized that the brain is not there to remember big, lofty ideas, but rather to remember small images. That's what he makes useful. That is the container principle. Because speaking simply doesn't mean remove complexity. It simply means put complexity inside a container which is small enough to carry. Which speaker should I break down next though? Let me know in the comments.